Hello everybody, welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. This is a little labyrinth where we're going to focus on the major 6 scale of chords, but with a particular way of practicing that I haven't shown you guys before, I don't think. And I think it's really musical. But before anything, I want to share with you that I started a TikTok, which I know sounds ridiculous, but I like the format for little videos. Everything that I'm putting up there is called Movement 1, Movement 2, Movement 3. They're not really in any particular order besides the fact that I do tend to stick with a movement doing variations on it for 4 or 5 videos or 3 videos or something. But it's nice because they loop and they're about 10 seconds long and you can scroll through them and find motions. So check out Labyrinth of Limitations on TikTok. I will put that in the video description. And someone asked, I just saw a comment, someone asked, is there a practical way to use this for my last video? And I think if you find it beautiful, then put it in a song. Then that's practical. And that's what this is all about. All of those examples I would put on any 2/5 that's minor. I was thinking of Black Orpheus. Sometimes I'm not playing in time because I'm trying to kind of like spell things out clearly. And or I'm still working on my rhythm, but you can play them with better rhythm. So that's my answer to is it practical? Is it beautiful to you? Then put it to work. It's practical. I do that a lot in here, I think, and I'm going to continue to. But we're going to look at something that just a way of practicing that lends itself to musical movement. What I mean by that is, so let's take C major 6 diminished. So just playing the chords in sequence for one voicing is fine, but our eventual goal is to have more freedom, right? So, just moving around. That's the idea. I'm just kind of mindlessly meandering. And but to do it with intention, of course, on songs is better. But to have kind of freedom in it. So this is the thing. In my PDFs, I always arrange these in a logical, conceptual way. So what I do is I say, hey, C major 6 diminished scale, which is this, a C major scale with a sharp 5, makes it so that you have notes alternating between C major 6 and the diminished. And then I quickly shift to going, okay, so let's learn our voicings in inversions. So those are the C major 6 inversions. And then we have the diminished, and we alternate between them. Okay, so that's a very conceptual way of looking at it, which is important for us to see. It's really important. But practicing wise, I think there's something more important to do to get to movement, to get to kind of more freedom of expression. Let's talk about that. I know that my diminished chord, when the diminished chord that resolves to something, the normal diminished chord that resolves to something, that is going to be always based off of the same intervals in relation to what it resolves to. So in this case, we're thinking of C, because C major 6. So we're going to think my diminished notes are a major 2nd above C, a perfect 4th above C, a diminished 5th above C, and a major 7th above C. And then C is, and major 7th, of course, is a half step below C. So I want to see, when I look at C, I want to see that diminished notes are a half step below and a major 2nd above. When I'm looking at E, I want to see that diminished notes are the perfect 4th, which is a half step above, and a whole step below is D, right? When I'm looking at G in my C major 6, I want to see that a diminished note is a whole step below and a half step above. And when I'm looking at A, I want to see that the diminished note is a half step below, I could do it there, or a whole step above, because that's the sharp 5 and the major 6. So now, here's how we're going to put it together. I want to go around the family with my major 6s real quick. Now, if you've been following this kind of family conversation, you'll understand that I like to think, what does the bass do when I move around the family? In other words, for all of the family members for C major 6, that means the major 6 chords that are minor third transpositions from each other. So C major 6, E flat major 6, G flat major 6, and A major 6. But we're all going to do them in position here. All of those, when I'm looking and moving around those, I want to pay attention to what does my bass do. And here's what it does. I'm going to play C major 6. That's the root position. Now I'm going to go forward to, I'm going to put the 3rd in the bass, play the voicing with the 3rd in the bass. And I'm going to put my finger on the 4th fret instead of the 3rd fret, okay? And that makes A major 6. So I'm essentially going backwards from C to A major 6. And I'm going to go back to G flat major 6 because I'm going to go root position for 3rd in the bass, the 3rd in the bass, and now the 5th in the bass. And both of those are on the 4th fret, you see? So I have root position is the bass is on the 3rd fret, and then I go to 3rd in the bass, it's on the 4th fret, 5th in the bass is on the 4th fret, but then the 6th in the bass is on the 3rd fret. And that's my family. So I want to be able to go around that forwards and backwards, and reverse backwards. Okay, so now I'm just seeing this as an object, because what I'm trying to do is I'm going to get into this scale like I'm creating it myself. And this is how I'm going to do that. I'm going to go one string at a time, but we'll start with the 5th string, and I'll show you. Practice along with me. I have the C in the bass, the root position C. So now I'm asking myself, how high do I need to move on the 5th string to get to a diminished note? And as I said a moment ago, I go up a whole step to get to the major 2nd, and I put my diminished shape down. So I'm just constructing this shape on top of that. It's always going to be this shape for drop 2 on these strings. And now I'm going to go up a whole step to major 3rd of C. Now from the major 3rd to the perfect 4th is a half step. And I just fill in that chord. From the perfect 4th up to the 5th is a whole step. From the 5th up to the sharp 5 is a half step. And I'm going to go put that diminished. From sharp 5 up to the 6 is a half step. And then from 6 up to 7 is a whole step. From 6 to 7. And then from 7 to 1, that's the half step from 7 to 1. Well, that's all well and good. So now we're going to do that on the 4th string. So I'm going to ask myself, what am I holding here? And I'm going to act like I'm, say your melody gave you this note, okay? You just kind of have this note in your melody and you're playing C major 6. And you need to harmonize, and you're going to harmonize around it. So you're going to put that melody in the middle voice. Think like that and think, okay, that's my chord. I got the 5th of the chord, and then I play the chord around it. I'm going to move the 5th up to sharp 5. I'm going to play the chord around it. I'm going to go from sharp 5 up to 6, put the chord around it. From 6 up to 7, from 7 up to root, from root up to 2, 2 up to 3, and 3 up to 4, and then 4 goes up a whole step. So the whole time I'm asking myself, what do I do? Half step or whole step? Whole step or half step? Okay, that's the question. So now, 3rd string, same thing. I got the 6. I'm going to go up a whole step to major 7th, up to half step, to the root, and then, see, I've worked my way from 3rd up to perfect 4th, up to the, from the perfect 4th, I got to go up to the 5th. Whoa, there we go. And then sharp 5, and then I do the same thing with the 2nd string. So say I have a melody note here, I need to harmonize it, perfect 4th, this was major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, sharp 5, I go up a half step to 6, up a whole step to the major 7th, and up a half step. So I'm really seeing, what if I wanted to harmonize below this melody? So like say, I've been looking at There Will Be Another You, which is in E flat major. So right? So that is a melody that goes from 6. Now there's lots of ways you could harmonize this, but if I were just to stay in E flat major, 6, I could go. And so I need to be aware of those intervals in all of the parts of the chord. Okay, and this is a way of practicing that. So just play the note individually and work your way up. And then even like drop some of the notes. Think like fifth, and you can think the rest of the shape, but just play parts of it. So you want to see all that stuff, and you want to see the intervals and stuff too. But this is a really, I think, effective way to practice. So you're thinking of family. You're thinking of the power of the guitar with the hand shapes, that you can think constructively, and then you're actually approaching the scale like you're creating it yourself. And this will make it, when you're doing this, like you might feel like you're getting a little bit worse, because when you're thinking of maybe the third string, you might be like, why can't I play the chord? You can't think of it for a second. And you have to go about your own way, your old way of thinking about it. And so you might think, oh, this is just making me worse. But actually what it's doing is exposing a weakness. And always when you expose a weakness in this way, with these kinds of things, with the scales of chords, with everything Barry teaches, when you get strong with it, you will find more freedom. And this one I feel like is a really helpful. I think my students have been getting really into it. And it just makes you know what you're doing more, and makes you know how to connect different harmonies together and find movements. Borrowing is easier when you do this. So if I know that this is the 6 and I go up a whole step, maybe I'll just, right? Right? You know, seeing those little things is going to be easier. So thank you for watching. This has been a discussion of the major 6 scale of chords and how to practice it. Check out that TikTok, and I'll be back with more. Keep practicing.